John, you know, my wife and I really want to express what a wonderful evening we've had here at your home among your friends and sharing their music.
Well, that's very kind of you, but I think everybody in this guitar pulling is waiting for what to me is the big moment, and that's to hear from Billy Graham, right, folks?
Well, thank you, John. I do have a little Christmas story that I could tell that maybe the children might be interested in, and maybe some of the older children as well.
We'd love to hear it.
Well, you know, I always figured that at Christmas time, it's always Christmas when a little child is born. The angels sing their song in somebody's sky, and heaven fills the atmosphere of somebody's home with its Gloria in Excelsis, and the message of peace on earth and goodwill among men. As Bret Harte tells a story, it happened in Roaring Camp during the gold rush days in old California. Peace and goodwill were almost unknown at Roaring Camp until that little baby was born. Even among the mining camps of the lawless West, Roaring Camp was known to be among the worst. When men differed in opinion over their cards, they settled the dispute by shooting each other. To die a natural death at Roaring Camp was almost unknown. There was just one woman there, poor old Sal. She was everybody's woman. During the birth of her baby that night, poor Sal died. And thus the baby belonged to the camp, and the camp decided to do its duty by the baby. The baby was lying in the rags in a box, but the men felt that the box wouldn't do. So a man was sent 80 miles on a mule train to get a rosewood cradle, the best that money could buy. The cradle was brought, but the rags seemed out of place, and the messenger had to return all the way to Sacramento for lace, regardless of the cost. But when the little baby lying amidst the lace in the rosewood cradle took his place in the middle of the room, the men noticed a thing they'd never noticed before. The floor was absolutely filthy. And when they'd scrubbed the floor and made it clean, they made a new discovery. They saw that in order to match the floor and the rosewood cradle and the lacework and the baby, the walls would have to be cleaned and the ceilings whitewashed and the windows draped with curtains. There also had to be long periods of quiet to allow the baby to sleep. And so the quality that had given Roaring Camp its name left it. One day, the men took the cradle out to the mines, but the mining area was a dusty and dreary place. So to please the baby's eye, they planted brightly colored flowers round about the spot where the cradle stood. And so the mine became a garden. Best of all, a change came over the appearance of the men themselves. Up at Tuttle's store, the owner placed mirrors round about the room in which the men lounged and chatted and smoked. And soon there was a great demand for soap and shaving materials, collars, ties, and even suits of clothes. The baby had transformed everything. The Roman world itself was a roaring camp 2,000 years ago. Men were either slave owners or slaves. Womanhood was often debased. Unwanted children were often strangled or drowned. And outside of Judaism, there was little to prevent it, and few seemed to care. Then a little child was born in Bethlehem. In the presence of that little child, men saw, as they had never seen before, that the world needed changing. The cry of the slave could not harmonize with the song of the angels. So slavery